Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Who Ate All the Cookies. Today, we're joined by a very special guest, Andre de Gaye, who is the Senior Strategic Partnership Manager at Visualsoft. Andre is an experienced web and digital sales manager with a specialization in e-commerce and software as a service. Welcome, Andre, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Tessa, no problem. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, yeah, really well, thanks. Really well.
Great. Personify is super lucky to have Visualsoft as one of our partners because Visualsoft is a complete e-commerce ecosystem focusing specifically on retail customers. Their award-winning user experience eases customer journeys and encourages customer conversion, providing a seamless experience for their customers. The platform helps their clients attract, retain, and convert customers. Now, Visualsoft is obviously very successful with over 1,000 retail customers using their platform today. So we're super lucky to have them as a partner, and I'm really excited to be having this conversation today to talk specifically about personalization and how that has to do with Visualsoft. Great, so let's get started. Can you start by telling me a little bit about what personalization marketing is and why it is important?
Yeah, absolutely. Personalization is really crucial, I think, to the customer experience now on websites. And it's really all about tailoring the experience for the customer. So we're all different as consumers. You know, when we hit a website, we're all after a different thing and we're all different people. So, you know, providing a generic experience now on websites is really no longer enough. You know, we can't do that as people who run e-commerce businesses. We really need to be providing a tailored experience to our customers. So it's really super important, especially as now people expect to be able to find the products they want as quickly as possible, right? It's all about reducing that number of clicks.
Right.
So if you go on a website and you have to trawl through the navigation or you have to do, you know, a lot of searches to really find the product you're specifically after, you know, that's going to take more clicks and actually that's going to result in more bounces from the website. So really, it's about showing the right product to the right customer at the right time. Essentially, that's what personalization is all about. And yeah, it's absolutely crucial now. And I think as consumers, we kind of expect that experience now. I mean, obviously, you know, people like Amazon were the pioneers, right? They were the ones who started this kind of idea of, well, you know, I've got so many products. Why don't I actually show products and content that particular customer is interested in? I know what they viewed last time they were on my site. I know what they purchased last time they're on my site. So therefore, all of that data that I've got on this particular customer, let me use that to then personalize the experience so that when they come back to the site, they're getting that tailored experience based on those data points. But it's at every single touch point, right? It's not just on the website, it's post-purchase as well. So things like emails, you know, making those emails tailored based on what the customer has purchased or even what they've viewed on the site or maybe left in their basket as well. So, you know, the classic abandoned basket email, which is a really key way of kind of re-engaging your customers post-purchase. Or if they didn't make a purchase at all. So yeah, it's absolutely crucial now. And I would say, you know, to any merchant that's not using personalization, I would say now is the time. I mean, the tech's been around a long, long time. But really now is the point where merchants are kind of going, well, we need to be doing this. Everyone else is doing it. We need to be doing it because, as I said before, the customer expects it now. It's that important.
Right. And as you said, the technology's been around for a long time, but I think over the past couple of years, we've definitely seen an evolution in the way that personalization is being done. And I think the way that I see it, at least, is that one of the main changes is in the amount of data that we have about people and the way that we sort of collect that data and we use that data for the personalization experience, which is really core to what Personify does, of course. And so how do you think about how we can use data and the data that we're collecting about people and the data that we're sort of able to know about each individual customer who comes to an e-commerce website? How can we use that to make the personalization experience better than it may have been, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago when personalization first started?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. And, this idea of big data has been around a long time now. We are collecting so much data from websites, and every touch point, we're collecting so much data, and it's kind of like that's only increasing as the years go on. We collect more and more data. So what do we do with it all? What do we do with all that data? We can't employ, hundreds of people to sift through data. We need some kind of system to process that data and then use it effectively. So that's where, personalization tools come in. We collect that data and we don't like sift through it and look for patterns. We get a system, piece of software to do that for us and analyze that data in real time and then make relevant recommendations on the site based on that data. Because the world's moving too fast. We haven't got time to do manual segmentation anymore.
Right. Yeah.
We haven't got time to do that.
No.
It's totally impractical. And that's where, a merchant who is just starting out with personalization, it's really eye-opening for them, because whereas previously they might have had, maybe segments set up in their ESP potentially, but actually that hasn't translated through to their website. So, having a system that can process that data, automatically kind of segment that data for them and use it effectively to then tailor the kind of content and products on the website, I mean, that's invaluable, because they just let the system run. And it's so important with the amount of data we're collecting now to have some kind of automation around that. And if it can deliver a better customer experience, everyone wins. The customer wins because they're getting a better experience. The merchant wins because they're getting more sales. They're having a good customer experience. And that obviously improves customer loyalty in the long term as well.
Right. And you're talking about, we're being hit with large amounts of data. I think it's something we see from an individual level, but it's also something that your customers, your retailers are experiencing. They're experiencing, we have probably way more data than we need or can actually use. And we want to best serve our customers, but maybe we're not sure how. Can you tell me a little bit more about what role Visualsoft plays in sort of helping customers understand what data is important and how to use it, both in the context of personalization or just more generally?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're big on data, with our merchants. It's really important. We have a reporting suite within our own platform as well, where we can, report on sort of key analytics and metrics, because we have a sort of shared success model with our merchants as well. We grow as they grow. So it's really important actually to be transparent about data, exactly what the website's doing, how it's performing. Data is key really, so that we can kind of agree with the merchant. What are our growth targets? Are we hitting those? Are we moving towards those? And data is absolutely crucial in that journey, really. But also from our partners, all of the partners like yourselves that, we kind of work with, and we have shared merchants and we integrate with, we need to kind of show that these are working effectively, and data is crucial in that exercise, and the great thing about the VS platform is that everything is available in the platform, in terms of our reporting and all that kind of thing. So it's showing our merchants, look how many sales you had today. Look how it's increasing. Look at your conversion rate. It's going up. All of these things. And obviously, a lot of our merchants work with analytics as well. Google Analytics, that's kind of their main reporting suite. And we kind of integrate with that as well. And we pull data out of the platform. But yeah, all of these partners that we work with, we share data. It's all about sharing data from these platforms and showing kind of the merchant how all these platforms are working together to generate more sales. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking to do.
Of course, yes. And it must be so nice, sort of at a touch of a button, to have that dashboard you were describing with the different conversion rates and sort of say, see the data. How is this working for me? What's working? What's not? How can we sort of make changes at a click of a button?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of crucial, I think, for busy e-commerce managers. They don't have time to kind of sit through the data. So having a dashboard, a snapshot of how am I doing today? How are my sales doing today is really crucial.
That's great. Okay, so moving on a little bit more from sort of the data perspective, obviously you focus mostly on retailers, but when we think more broadly about personalization, who does personalization benefit? Sort of what are the main drivers of that benefit, and how do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, personalization is relevant to any business that has customers. I mean, doesn't even have to be an e-commerce business. If you have customers and those customers can be defined into separate groups, which every single customer base can be, because you're always going to have new customers, so first-time customers, and repeat customers as well. So automatically there, every single business has segments, just as a nature of a business. So yeah, it's not just for retailers. Obviously, it works great for retailers, but actually personalization can work really well for B2B as well, because the thing about B2B is you tend to have account groups. You tend to have a tiered structure. A lot of B2B businesses have like a gold, silver, and bronze type tiered structure for their customers. That's a predefined segment essentially. So, you can already deliver a tailored experience on your site based on the fact you've got those predefined groups, for example. But yeah, obviously it works great for retail as well. You've got all those predefined segments. And as soon as a customer starts interacting with your site, literally as soon as they start browsing around, you're collecting data points, so you can then use that to personalize and engage your customers based on their viewing and purchase history. But essentially, yeah, it's so broad. It's not really limited to just retail. It's not just B2B. It's any business that kind of has customers and that has a website. Essentially, you can use the platforms.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And so when you're thinking about this personalization, and I think probably best to focus on the bread and butter of Visualsoft, which is in retail customers, what are sort of the do's and don'ts when you think about personalization? What are sort of the main things that come to mind for someone who doesn't know much about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, personalization works most effectively when the customer doesn't know it's there, which sounds really strange, but it's true, because what you don't want to do is kind of be too pushy with customers. And you also, you could kind of go as far as address them by name, right? Because if you've got their email address, you potentially could do that. For me, that's too far. We don't want that as consumers. We just want a good customer experience, and we want to be able to find the products we're looking for as quickly as possible. So that's why I say, for me, a good personalization implementation is one where the customer doesn't realize it's there, but it's giving them a great customer experience. They are finding the products they need. They're seeing cross-sell and upsell zones on the site that are relevant to them. As they're browsing around, they're clicking around, a pair of blue jeans, they're seeing a jacket that might go well with that, avoiding the double denim effect. What I like to call the double denim effect. If you're looking at a denim jacket, don't show denim jeans as well.
Right.
Use that intelligence, use that data of what other people have purchased to make relevant recommendations, and also what that customer's clicking on. So yeah, you're just giving a good customer experience. You're not going too far with it. Now, I think there are differences to that. If you're in a My Account area and you're logged in, of course you can address someone by name. That's an expectation from the customer. But yeah, it's really about not being too intrusive, I guess, is the thing. It should be quite subtle on the site, but helpful. Ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to deliver a great customer experience using personalization, so that customer checks out as quickly as possible, but also comes back for repeat purchases.
Right. And I think that's exactly along the lines of why Personify came to be, and why we are able to sort of deliver a different experience, because we really aren't invasive, only using single session data and not going past that. We definitely focus on not being too intrusive to our customers as well. So we would definitely echo that same sentiment.
Absolutely.
So can you tell me a little bit about if Visualsoft has any personalization within your suite towards customers?
Yeah, so not currently. We are looking at some sort of basic levels of being able to sort of personalize and segment in the platform. But what we'd much rather do, we have a fantastic ecosystem of partners at Visualsoft. We'd rather leave it to the experts, and we'd rather integrate with partners who this is their bread and butter. They do it best. They're kind of best in class solutions. We can't build it all at Visualsoft. We've got a fantastic platform that kind of has a lot of great functionality built in. but we'd much rather integrate with key partners who bring fantastic tech to the platform that we can integrate with. And our merchants love that as well, because it's integrated with the platform. They can kind of get up and running with it quickly. And that benefits everyone because they've got a stable platform with Visualsoft, but they've got access to all of our great partners who bring things to the table. So we'd much rather partner with people like yourselves, who bring great tech, who do that really, really well, because we can't build everything and we can't be everything to everyone.
And that is such the benefit of a partnership scheme. And that's why we all have partners.
Absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right. So yeah, we'd much rather integrate.
So what would you say to any current customers that you have, or any potential future customers, if they were looking to dip their toes into the pool of personalization? What would sort of be the first steps that you would recommend they look at? And what would you say they should take into consideration when going through that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say any retailer should be looking at personalization.
Okay.
If they're not already, I really do think it's crucial. It's absolutely crucial now, because if you're not doing it, your competitors certainly will be. It's everywhere now. And do the research. There are different platforms out there offering different functionality. There's lots of ways you can personalize. It's not just about cross sells and upsells, although that's a key part of it. There's personalized content, there's personalized pop-ups as well. Some platforms offering personalized search as well, personalized email, all of these kind of things. And often they're modular as well. So some platforms offer these as modular standalone offerings. So yeah, do the research, look into what the different platforms offer, certainly. But just get started with it. That's the key thing, because everyone is doing it now. And if you are not exploring personalization, you will see, a huge positive impact on your business by looking into these personalization strategies. And especially, a lot of these systems are automated now. They have a lot of automation. I think there is a perception that, using these tools might take a lot of time. It's absolutely incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. You integrate them on the site, they run and they just do their thing. They gather that data and they kind of just tailor the experience, personalize the experience for the customer once they're sat on the site. You can get as involved as you want to in customization, but you can just kind of let it run on the site generally. So yeah, to summarize that, it's kind of just get started with it, really. Just explore it. There's some great systems out there, Personify certainly being one of them.
Yeah, start somewhere, and you can always modify and add, subtract, whatever needs to happen as the journey starts to progress.
Absolutely. Yeah,
fantastic. Was there anything else in terms of personalization that you wanted to discuss or you wanted to mention that I forgot to ask about?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting thinking of the future of personalization as well, because obviously personalization has been around quite a long time. I've seen platforms get more and more complex in what they're looking to do. A lot of the systems out there, you kind of you have predefined segments often, so like first time visitor, returning visitor, all these kind of things, VIP customer, based on a threshold of certain amount of purchases. But then a lot of platforms, you can kind of set up custom segments as well based on different variables. So I want to target people that have bought, spent over £100 this month on my website, for example.
Right.
But it's interesting to me looking at the future of personalization, where things might go. So things like automated segment discovery, for example, where platforms might kind of look at the data for a customer and then automatically create a segment, and then adapt automatically. So actually you don't have to get involved as a human at all, which is a pretty amazing, actually. And integrating, other pieces of tech like voice commerce, as well into these platforms as well is really interesting. Obviously, that's good for consumables at the moment, so like Alexa or Google Home, order me some more tea bags or whatever it might be. But, looking at the future of how that data can be fed into these platforms as well. Like, what did I purchase on Alexa earlier? Because, one thing we haven't talked about is multi-channel, right? We're in a multi-channel world. We're purchasing on so many different platforms, Amazon, eBay, Alexa, website, mobile app, whatever it might be, all these data points that we're collecting on these platforms, how those feed into kind of one pot of
Yeah.
personalization for you, essentially, is really, really interesting. So no matter where, and even in store, actually, you know, if you've got digital receipts and you have a retailer that's got a brick and mortar store, you know, if they make a purchase, that is then logged at the merchant. When they go on the website later, they might see products that are related to the purchase that they made in store. So it's kind of, it almost, the sky's the limit, you know, in terms of where things can go. But it's really interesting for me to kind of see where things are going to go in the future of personalization.
And I think, as you mentioned, all of those, especially as you mentioned different integrations, the first thing that comes to my mind is, oh, what about, you know, privacy? As a customer, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Sort of what are the limits there? Is Alexa always going to be listening, or do I know when Alexa's listening? And do I know who Alexa is sharing my information with, and my thoughts and my conversations? So I think that is probably also the future of personalization, you know, like really thinking about what those next steps are in terms of data privacy and informing customers on exactly how their data is being used, which is a huge thing that we're seeing. And I think sort of it's just along with all of these next gen personalization.
Absolutely. And that is so important. You know, that data security and privacy, we have to be transparent with customers, exactly what we're doing with their data.
Yeah.
We have to give them the opportunity to opt out if they want to. But I think the crucial thing is, yes, we're collecting their data, but as long as we are giving them a good experience with that data, we're using that to deliver a better experience, and being upfront about that with them, you know. And you often see that, don't you, on websites when you kind of visit, you know, in order to give you the best experience, we're your cookies and we're doing
Every time you go on Google, you see that.
Absolutely right. And that's how it should be, right? We should be upfront about that. We should tell the customer, look, we are tracking you, we are doing this, but we're doing it to give you a better experience. We're not doing anything nefarious with your data. You know, it's actually for a good purpose, but we still need to give consumers the option to opt out if they want to.
Yeah. Yes. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. And we look forward to many future conversations with you.
Thanks, Tessa. No, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Great.